Welcome to Burns White, Inside the Law, a podcast about the law and the people behind the practice. I'm your host, Ahsan Jafry. I'm here today with my good friend, Dave McGeady. And, I like everybody that comes on the podcast, but Dave and I are pretty close. And this might be the one where, so far, I don't think we had a lot of censors that had to get cut or anything like that. But I got a feeling that we might have to do some editing for this one. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, this is the one that's basically making our marketing department the most worried. The combination of you and me in the same room,
and human resources?
Yeah, human resources, too. So, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so why don't you tell us about yourself? We'll start with, what brought you into practicing law. And we'll start with that, and then we'll get into what brought you to Burns White.
Well, this is a second career for me. I didn't start out practicing as an attorney. Initially, when I got out of college, I got a nursing degree, a bachelor's degree in nursing. And I practiced nursing for approximately a decade before I finished law school and started practicing law. So, in my experience, most nurses or many nurses that go into bedside nursing don't stay in that area of practice. They usually go on, or many of them go on and get advanced degrees, whether it be as a nurse practitioner, some go to medical school, some get business degrees and go into management. Very rarely a nurse will go into law. But at the time when I was thinking about my options, I had a good friend that was going to law school in Chicago. He went to DePaul. And he had just finished law school and started practicing as a litigator, and he seemed very satisfied and happy with what he was doing at the time. And so that appealed to me, and that's the direction I ended up going, and don't have any regrets.
Right. Was your good friend like your criminal defense attorney?
No, he actually did.
As a joke, meaning like, your personal criminal defense attorney.
No, just a personal friend.
Yeah. So as far as the transition, was it a big transition to go from the medical field to the law field? Very
big transition. Totally different way of thinking as an attorney as opposed to as a nurse, but there's overlap. So the whole reason, not the whole reason, but what I envisioned for myself as a lawyer was that I would carve out a niche doing medical law using I didn't want to completely abandon my nursing background. I liked being a nurse. I just wanted to move sort of onward and upward and incorporate what I learned into the practice of law.
Sure.
So what I envisioned was really doing medical malpractice and defending nurses, doctors, hospitals, other healthcare providers in malpractice cases.
And that's what you do now.
That is what I do now. So goal achieved. But it is a different way of thinking. So nurses think in a sort of a very objective, assessments, you collect facts, you communicate with other healthcare providers, you come up with a plan, and you enact that plan. Thinking like a lawyer is a lot more application of logic and abstract thinking, sort of thinking ahead and envisioning things that haven't yet happened, things that might happen. How do I plan for things that might happen? How do I plan for things that might go wrong? And those ways of thinking, at least in my mind, weren't things that I was doing as a bedside nurse.
All right. So going back for a second, what year did you start law school?
I started law school in 2002.
You went at night, right?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I was working as a nurse at Jefferson Hospital in downtown Philly, and I would drive up Broad Street every day.
Temple?
Yep, to Temple, and would go to school at night. I did that for 4 years.
Did you, after you graduated from law school and started working, did you abandon nursing, or did you kind of stick with it for a while?
No, I didn't stop. I stopped for 1 year to sort of get my legs under me and sort of make that transition from working as a nurse to practicing law. And obviously there's so much to learn as a new lawyer. But after about a year, I went back to working. I picked up weekend time and continued working at Jefferson in the recovery room, the PACU. for another 7 or so years. I ultimately stopped working at the bedside in 2014 just because I was becoming busier with law practice.
Sure.
I was married and had multiple children at that point.
They get in the way of everything, these kids. You know, like
something had to give. So I stopped the bedside work. But in my mind, people always say to me, why did you stop being a nurse? And in my mind, I didn't stop being a nurse. I still view myself as practicing as a nurse because every day when I come to work, I'm looking at medical records and I'm evaluating medical care that's being provided. And if that isn't the practice of nursing, I don't know what is.
Okay. Well, I don't consider myself a nurse, but I'm not as good at it as you are. Then I guess, right? Now, as far as the transition to law, what brought you to Burns White?
So I started working initially when I was in law school. I was a summer law clerk at McKissick and Hoffman, which for a long time and into the early 2000s was a very well-known litigation boutique with a sort of a very heavy footprint in medical professional liability defense. A lot of people know Peter Hoffman is very well known med mal defense lawyer, and also Bill Mundy, who was
never heard of the guy.
Never heard of him. Who was my mentor, and so they invited me to come work for them when I graduated, and in 2006 I went and started practicing with Bill Mundy, and mostly nursing home litigation, but there was also a portion of his practice was med mal defense.
He comes up in every podcast, Bill. Somehow he works his way into every podcast. We'll get him on one of these days.
Maybe he'll show his face. So about a year after I started at McKissick and Hoffman, they just disbanded the practice, and different attorneys went in different directions, and Bill made the decision to join Burns White, which was at that time sort of a very small office in Philadelphia, and I made that transition with him.
And what year was that?
2007.
I'm just saying that because of where we are now compared to where we were, especially in the Eastern region. It's like you've seen the growth, I guess, right?
So that's almost 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And
we had the Pittsburgh location, obviously, but the Eastern region, you've seen that kind of develop,
explode, basically explode. I mean, at that time, Jeff Adler was here. There were, I think, a few workers' comp and a few lawyers, maybe half a dozen lawyers in a Burns White office here in Montgomery County. And now we have Delaware, Wilkes-Barre, Center City, Philadelphia, Conshohocken, Cherry Hill, North Jersey. And did I mention Delaware? So I did mention Delaware.
Yeah, and you have a role in that Delaware office too, right?
That's correct.
And you passed the Delaware bar exam.
Yeah, I have to say, of all the things that I've done over the past 20 years as an attorney, I consider that to be one of the most challenging.
I really thought you were failing. I swear, I really thought you were failing that exam, and I was really ready to make fun of you about it. And
I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I disappointed you. So, no, taking the bar.
It's a tough exam. It's a tough
more than
exam.
15 years after finishing law school, while working full time.
That's what I mean. You were like
3 kids at home.
Yeah, because you really didn't stop. And I remember you had trials, you had this and that, and I was like, doesn't this guy have the bar exam in a couple weeks? And and hats off to you, man. I didn't think that was happening.
Completely annihilated the spring and summer of 2022.
Yeah.
Studying for the bar, but thank God I passed. And actually, as we speak, there's several hundred students or aspiring lawyers taking the bar down in Wilmington right now, and it just gives me the willies to think about it. But
it's one of the more difficult bars to pass.
It is.
But I mean, there's a big need for that, and as far as the nursing home malpractice defense attorneys in Delaware, right? There's not a lot of them, so it's good that you're there.
It's a very different area. It's a different jurisdiction than. And we're in the Philadelphia area,
in New York,
here.
New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. There's tons and tons and tons of lawyers and stuff like that. Delaware's small state, small community, small legal community, and not quite as many lawyers that
Right.
do.
And Maria's
that
there
do
too.
what we do.
You and Maria are kind
Correct.
of, and Maria's been around for a long time too, right? She was one of the McKesson.
She was actually, she was at McKissick and Hoffman before I joined. So
That's Maria Granado for
Yes.
the podcast viewers.
for reference, if you want to Google her.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. So at Burns White, tell us about your practice area. And you mentioned a little bit about it, but if you just give the viewers and listeners an overview as far as your day-to-day and the type of cases you have.
So it's about 90% medical malpractice. We represent different clients, but it's, I would say, about 90%.
In Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey, right?
Correct.
You're like the tri-state man.
That's right.
Like,
That's right. Yeah, and I would say maybe approaching 50% of my practice is in New Jersey. It's a relatively significant number.
we like having you there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a nice.
I actually
It's a good day when you're in the office.
I enjoy
at least for me.
practicing in New Jersey. It's I just like it over there.
Yeah.
I like the legal community. I like the judges. I think it's a good place to be practicing. But yeah, about 90% medical malpractice, and then 10%. So we have some general liability. We have some clients that send us general liability work, and then some regulatory work that we do defending.
Oh, you started a regulatory practice, right?
That's right. Well, we've been doing some regulatory work for quite a while, not a large amount of it, but I just sort of had the thought recently, after actually handling a recent regulatory matter where I think, anyway, that we had some really good results as a result of challenging some deficiency citations that came from the Department of Health and Senior Services in Delaware. That, really we ought to be sort of marketing more.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a microphone in front of you.
Exactly.
Get marketing.
Yeah.
Like that.
That we're also doing this work. We're not just doing the medical malpractice work. And to me, there's a lot of parallels. I mean, obviously there's some differences too, but we should be doing more of this work because we were getting some good results.
Yeah, and what is that? Just so the people understand, what is regulatory work and what type of services do you provide?
So, I mean, really anything that has to do with any regulation or law as opposed to civil litigation, like a lawsuit is filed against a medical provider and there's a civil claim for damages. The regulatory work is, as you know,
in the nursing home world, right?
Yeah, in the nursing home world,
the surveys and the survey deficiencies and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one of the most heavily regulated industries in the country.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a significant need. It's challenging to run a skilled nursing facility on the best of days, and then to have such heavy regulation. And
they're constantly changing too.
They're changing, and they're just constantly being surveyed, and sometimes unfortunately a facility will have a difficult survey, and that presents, on top of all the other challenges that they have operating a facility, now they have sort of this regulatory issue where they have perhaps fines, or they may have denial of admissions, ban on admissions, provisional license. It could really be a very heavy burden in terms of the penalties that are imposed.
Sure.
But it could be other things. It's not just those kinds of regulations. Whistleblower claims. I represent a lot of healthcare professionals in complaints that are filed with their respective Board of Nursing, Board of Medicine. Somebody makes a complaint and all of a sudden the provider has a problem, and they need a lawyer. So we handle them. So it could be HIPAA type things. Somebody makes a complaint about some unauthorized HIPAA disclosure. So anything that has to do with a law or a regulation where there's some sort of enforcement action that's been triggered, that would be what I would characterize as regulatory work.
Okay. Bring in some questions.
Uh-oh.
Before we do that, you're a man of a lot of different talents. Just in general, just in life, what do you do nowadays?
Outside of work?
Outside of work. Let's set law and nursing aside. What do you do nowadays?
I mean, the biggest thing I do is just spend time with my wife and kids. Like the high point of my day is getting home and seeing my kids.
I mean, like fun stuff. Like,
Well, my latest thing is I take my 11-year-old dirt bike riding.
so you have 3 kids, right?
I have 3 kids.
How old are they?
I have a daughter that's 16 who hardly speaks with me. I have a son that is 14 who's a complete angel, and then I have an 11-year-old
Who's just like you.
yeah, he likes to dig holes in the backyard like a dog.
You mentioned dirt biking?
Yeah, dirt biking, fishing, spending time with my family, on the rare occasion that I get a chance.
Your wife's a nurse, right?
She is a nurse.
Okay.
Going out to dinner with my wife.
Okay. Right.
That kind of thing. So, gardening. I have a big vegetable garden.
I just saw vegetables in your office.
I have tomatoes sitting on my desk right out of my garden.
This is why everybody makes fun of you so much. Because you have such a wide variety of things that you have going on.
Yeah, no, I have a killer tomato
we're all jealous
garden.
of you. You're like a true Renaissance man. All right, some questions. They're very nursing related, and I'm pretty confident you're going to get most of them right. Ready?
No, we'll see.
All right. Okay, first question. What does PRN mean?
As needed.
Yeah, you're going to rip through these. I should have made these harder. I could tell when I was getting through these. All right. What is the normal range for adult systolic blood pressure?
100 to 140?
All right.
I think maybe now they say if you're above 130, that's like pre-hypertension.
Yeah.
But when I went to nursing school 3 decades ago, normal was 100 to 140 systolic.
Okay, all right. Nice job. All right, let me go through some like famous nurses now. Okay, which nursing pioneer is known as the lady with the lamp?
No clue.
Oh man, really? Yes. You sure?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Florence Nightingale.
Okay, the only thing I remember about Florence Nightingale is that she opened the windows on the sick ward as a kind of a anti.
I just learned that thing. 2 hours turn and repositioning. That was her.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just learned that. When I was getting ready to cross-examine.
Just so you're aware, when you're in nursing school, they really don't teach you a lot of nursing history.
Yeah, I know. I figured that.
Doesn't really
this
have
is more like
anything to do
general
with
knowledge. And we're talking about, Dave and I have a lot of wound cases where the allegations are whether the resident has been turned to repositioned, right? And pressure ulcers. And that standard for turning every 2 hour.
Which really isn't supported by very rigorous science.
Right, yeah.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, Florence Nightingale came up with it back during the Crimean War. So, I mean, it must be true.
You know more than I do.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's because I just had it in the case. So, All right, speaking of that, what is the largest organ of the human body?
Skin.
Yeah, I mean, this is like... All right. These are going too fast. Got to find something harder. Oh, what nurse founded the American Red Cross?
Clara Barton.
I don't even know why I tried.
You showed me the cards before.
No, I did not. All right. What is the primary function of red blood cells?
To carry oxygen to the organs.
Okay. All right. Last question. Another famous nurse. This nurse in the movie Meet the Parents scored 99th percentile on his MCATs, but chose to become a nurse anyway.
Greg Fokker.
Yes. Circle of trust.
I will take you down to Chinatown.
Yeah, I gotta do better with these questions. It's hard, with somebody like you who just knows everything about everything. You
gotta bring it. You gotta hit me with more general trivia.
Yeah, maybe next time. All right. Well, any final thoughts? Well, let me ask you this before I do that. I know Stuart's episode, in his episode, he discussed the future of the firm and how his Stuart O'Neill, you know that guy, right? Mm-hmm. CEO.
I know him well.
Yeah. I guess what he mentioned was that what he sees is a lot of younger partners carrying the firm through the next few decades, and you're probably on the top of the list as far as the future of the firm. As far as where we're going from here. So with that lead in, how do you see the future of your practice and Burns White in general?
I think Stuart's right, 100%. In what I'm seeing right now in what we do, which is professional liability defense, is that there's a whole generation of trial lawyers. I won't go into names, but you know who they are. You know who they are in New Jersey. We know who they are in Pennsylvania, that are, older guys now. And over the past 10 years, a lot of those folks, guys and gals, are retiring. And I think over the next 5 or 10 years, there will be even more retiring. So there is, Stuart's right, a whole sort of next generation of attorneys that are stepping in and, will need to be the trial lawyers of resort for the clients that have this need. And it's a tremendous need right now. I mean, just look at the filings in the trend of med mal filings in Philadelphia County. I mean, certainly these kinds of legal issues and suits are not abating now. I mean, they're not slowing down. So yeah, I mean, guys like me and you and Stuart, that I have some gray hair and not much up here, but in my beard. But I plan to be around for a while, and more than happy to accept that mantle and carry it forward for sure. And that's what I see for Burns White. I mean, I think we have a great sort of panel of lawyers, whether it's in Pittsburgh, Center City, here in Conshohocken, South Jersey, or in Delaware. We have sort of this broad footprint in this area, this mid-Atlantic area, with just fabulous lawyers who can step in, take difficult cases, take them to trial if needed. Not every client wants to go to trial.
Not every case is worthy going to trial, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's all dependent on what the facts of the case are and what the needs and desires of the client are. But whatever those are, we can serve them. So, I see a tremendous upside for the firm, and I see the firm continuing to grow, potentially expanding into new areas. New substantive areas of law practice, as well as perhaps new geographical areas where we can serve clients, existing clients and new clients, with the talent that we have.
All right, that's a great answer. All right. And I didn't have to show you any note cards.
I was shooting right from the hip.
Yeah, I didn't have to show you note cards for that one. Well, thanks for the time. Thanks for joining us.
Man.
All right.
No problem.
All right, thanks, Dave. The information contained in this podcast is considered an outline intended to be supplemented by an attorney. The information is not legal advice and should not be considered as such. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or comments regarding this episode, feel free to email us at podcast@burnswhite.com.